Let's start it off here because we do have Ben Johnson in the building. A lot of excitement around Ben Johnson being here, but there's a lot of big pieces that need to continue to be added to this team. I see some of the names that are popping up that are being interviewed. Feels a little Rooney Rule-ish to me, if you ask me. It's like, hey, Bears, who do you want to interview next? We're going to interview Blackity Black.
Oh, we're going to get canceled on that.
Where'd you find this guy? We're all black. How can we get canceled on making a black joke?
What's going on here?
I know we all a little of the fair skin, but everyone here is black. You know, I told a dude the other day I was half Italian. He was like, I don't believe you. I was like, what?
Come on. Hey, that's me because he's seen you in public. Hey, when I listen to you on the radio, you don't sound like us. I'm just messing with you, man.
I swear I thought Lawrence Holmes was white when I first started listening to the radio. I was like, oh, because like, hey, Uncle Terry. I was like, oh, snap.
How black can you get? But no, man, listen, at the end of the day, I think the interesting part about the rest of this coaching staff is it seems like there's going to be an expensive budget put in for these coaches. So the dream coaching scenario, boys, I'll put mines out there talking about my coaching scenario, and we'll see kind of where we differ here, because as you can see on the board here, that is my dream. That's where I get excited. That's where I get tingly. You give me a Ben Johnson, you give me a Johnson, you give me a Fraley, and you give me an Allen, and I'll give you 10 wins. I think that is the coaching staff that gets the most out of the talent that the Chicago Bears currently have, because we've seen Dennis Allen have to work with a little bit of subpar talent, still have one of those top 10 defenses that we've talked about. We have seen Ben Johnson have to scheme things together to try and make it work when guys are banged up. And we've seen Hank Fraley put together one of those offensive lines that we talk about as an elite offensive line on a fairly consistent basis, no matter who is the five guys that are out there. And I think that's the thing that when I look at a guy like Hank Fraley, when I look at Dennis Allen, when I look at Ben Johnson, what can you do when it's not perfect? That's what I want to see out of my coaching trio. What does it look like when it is not great? Because there's going to be more. We can put together the best team in the world. Left tackle tears his ACL. Well, season's not over.
Well, we get the next guy.
You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Season's not done. You got to work through that. You can have the greatest center in the world. We can spend all off season. We're gonna go out. We're gonna get a center. We sign Ryan Kelly. We draft one in the second or third round. We figure this out. The starter gets hurt. Now you got to play the rookie. Yeah. How are you at player development? That's why I think I get a little bit excited with this grouping of the three. For special teams, for me, shout out Games Report. I was going to get to that. Give me a second. For special teams, to me, I do like the name that's already on the list. It's Darren Rizzi. Yeah. I think that if you're talking about going out and getting a top four, not only is this probably the most expensive group that you can get, and I think for me, how important is Hank Fraley is the question. Because if he is important, I would overpay to get a guy like him in the building, even to the point where maybe you give him one of those assistant head coaching titles. But Ben Johnson needs his right-hand guy, and it seems like that's what Fraley was for him in Detroit.
Well, I like what he said. Ben said that, he's going to bring guys together that are going to basically help assist with planning, and then he's going to decide at the end of the week what things he wants to do. So everybody's going to bring game plans and plays or whatever they need. To me, what I see is that he is the de facto offensive coordinator. So in some ways, I'd like to see that we might get two offensive line coaches. So if he say you bring Fraley,
you'll get Fraley. You get Fraley, guy who's going to teach Fraley's system.
And so now you got that whole situation. I was looking up, for me, I was thinking I think Mike Munchak, for example, Hall of Fame player. He was a Tennessee Titans guy. I think he's out of coaching, but was coming back. Somebody like, I saw that Bill Callahan was a really good offensive line coach. Dante Scarnecchia, guys like them. Are we able to identify?
Who's the guy you looked up who was dead?
I don't know. It was like top O-line coach. It was like 1960 to 40. He was dead.
It was literally major league. It was like most of these guys are out of their prime. Half these guys never had a grind. This guy's dead.
Take him off the list.
Off the list.
Phenomenal, dog. Yeah, so just seeing that would be ideal. The thing is that the trenches make It's what we got to do. We need to get this line right. Period. Doesn't matter. Every time we've had a winning squad, to a degree, we had a good line. And so you got to get
literally. And I've said that a bunch of times. Remember the last time we went to an NFC Championship game? Who was our starting center?
Olin Cruz.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You know what Olin's doing now?
For a while.
He's teaching offensive linemen how to play offensive line.
That for a while.
Yeah.
Is it time to bring him back?
Olin?
I don't know if I'll say this. It's a big promotion, not to say that, but Olin right now is coaching with Jason McKee at the high school level. I believe he coaches the offensive line for him at the high school level. That'd be a big jump to the NFL. Even though he's been a player, I understand that you had a relationship, but I do think that's a big jump to go from high school kids to NFL players. But I will say this. I've seen Olin Kreutz coach these kids. It is not who you think Olin Kreutz is. It's not the dude that's like,
fire brimstone in your head. Yeah.
He's literally like, hey, man, we can't make that move there. You got to get here. You got to get down low, get your hands out. Like I watched him do it, and I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is who is this?
Shout out to Pterodactyl Pops. I believe they got rid of all. They're looking to replace. Rezzy's supposed to be the special.
We did not see a change in Coach Hightower.
No,
that is the one name that was not on the list. Eric Washington was removed from his position. Thomas Brown was removed. I don't know if Coach Hightower will be retained. He banged the drum for Velus Jones for a long time. I don't know if that's on him or if that's on Poles. But Velus Jones was in that building for far too long for my liking. What I'll say is, though, that I would assume you're probably going to move on from everybody who is in place right now and bring in a whole new staff to try and figure some things out. Shout out to the super chat from Big Blaze. Said Ben looked at the players in the press conference with his crazy eyes from the movie The New Guy.
His crazy eyes.
Bro. He did look them dead in the eye. He was like,
he had some intention on
prepare
that.
to be uncomfortable.
Be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Oh,
I'm Batman. It was like, wait a minute, dog.
I did.
Let you calm down.
I liked, from what I saw with him, it's like he comes across with a lot of confidence. It feels like he has command. I'd never seen that where they showed, the head coach and he walks in the building and they're all like all around him parading around. It was like, he better be cold. He better
I'll say
be good.
this, being up there, and I said this with JC.
how did it feel?
Hey, bro, it was different.
It
was not in the media room.
Some aura.
It wasn't in the media room. It was downstairs in Hallis Hall.
Oh.
And there's like this downstairs area. There's like this massive like
they've never used.
They don't use it much.
That's
like, I'm
great.
not gonna lie to you. They don't use it much. They use it for like big events. So like we went there for we met with like I think Flus was there and he spoke. Kevin Warren was there and he spoke. And then we ended up interviewing. They had us on stage for an interview to like Bears partners. And then we ended up interviewing one of the lead scout for Flus. And we were talking about like, oh, you guys gonna draft Caleb Williams? He was like, yeah, we'll see. But he knew what was going on. But it was like early on. But like, that's the only thing I've ever seen down there. I'm sure they do like Bank was down there. They had this thing decked out. And then on the other side is like this big media studio. And they had that's where you see Caleb and Kevin and all of them standing up against the wall. So it was different.
Yeah.
It was very different. And I think that the Bears feel that this is different. And so they're going to spend differently. That's why I have the conversation like I was bringing up about Hank Fraley. If he's Ben's guy, you outbid Seattle.
You get the money.
Yeah.
Now, he may just want to call plays and the money may not be a factor.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if he's Ben's guy, you go get Ben's guy.
I'm like, this is all about Kevin Warren. I'm sorry. I can't sit here and be like, oh, George McCaskey, he finally figured out the 10 plus years of being a chairman. You mean you need to spend money on coaching? You get what you pay for finally? So like, this is all Kevin Warren. You have to, but my point is that.
But think about this. How much money Dick can make?
I don't know. That's back then.
How much money did
I don't
Dick
remember.
make? Small money.
Of
it
course.
wasn't great.
They probably made
right?
$300,000.
How much money did Lovey make?
Probably about $5 million or something like that.
How many times have we gone to the Super Bowl?
Once.
Twice. Come on, keep up, guys.
Huh?
We've been.
Oh, you're saying twice in general?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant with Lovey.
No,
I got it. I'm with you. I'm with you.
So you had to have somebody walk in the building and have the cojones to go, you need to spend more money. Ted Phillips wasn't going to be that guy.
No. Ted Phillips was never
He was
going to be
never going to be
the
that
minute
guy.
that Kevin Warren gets in there, it's changes.
Yeah.
So it's like this. Shout out to Kevin Warren.
But listen, I got to shout out George for changing. You changed your mindset.
Listen to the right guy.
You listen to the
cool guy.
You listen to the right guy.
Yeah, they finally opened up the good old dust-covered wallet.
yeah. The was it the Georgia Costanza wallet?
You think he's got like that old?
You know what I'm talking about from Seinfeld? Got like all the
hilarious.
receipts.
I was gonna say, you think he's got that old like long billfold from like the old Wild Wild West that you had to like unwrap leather out of?
You know what? Because he still got his checkbook.
And it had like full on freaking like pamphlets for dollars back then.
He's the guy that still walks around with his checkbook in his pocket.
Absolutely.
What
do you got, JC? What's your thoughts on a dream coaching scenario?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on point with where you're at, but just kind of throw a little bit of a different vibe on it. One of the things that I saw with Ben Johnson right after his first presser, he went on a whole media tour thing, and I believe who are the guys over there on NFL on NBC Pro Football.
Pro Football Talk?
Yeah, Pro Football Talk.
Mike Tirico?
No. I'm looking straight at him too. Bottom second picture. You know who I'm talking about. But basically,
I can't see that. I ain't got my glasses on.
Florio.
Mike Florio.
That's who I was thinking about. Florio and him had a conversation. One of the things that he mentioned is when it comes to the people that he's going to hire, he wants to make sure, yes, he's going to obviously have his hand in everything, not just the offensive play calling, but he wants to give full responsibility to those guys. He wants to delegate.
Yeah.
That's the word that he mentioned, is he's okay with delegating and allowing people to run their part of their role. That's one of the things that he said he learned under the head coach of the Lions, Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that he said he learned under being there in the Lions organization is, not necessarily having to do every single thing just because he has a full plate of responsibility, but using those guys that he's going to bring in to make sure that they do their job. And that's the reason why I'm fine with this list. You look at a guy like Hank Fraley, who by all accounts has had the experience, has had the offensive line that has been successful. Detroit's offensive line is tops probably in the league.
Yeah.
And so when you bring a guy like him,
Philly,
I mean, they're up there.
They in that conversation.
I mean, I don't see a problem on their offensive line. So when you can kind of steal a guy like Hank Fraley from them, could it also mean that maybe you can steal one of their offensive linemen along with that? That's one of the things that I'm hoping for. Is we talked about rumors of maybe Zeitler kind of following behind him.
Yeah.
If we were to get that, so that's the gift with that. And then of course I'm fine with the defensive coordinator from the Saints. I love Dennis Allen. I love Dennis Allen.
There's two names that scream to me. Is Dennis Allen and/or Robert Saleh.
Robert Saleh would be fine, but I feel like Robert Saleh is going to be going somewhere else.
I would love Chico as a DC. I don't know if Chico wants to be a DC. From what I heard from people who are very close to Chico, he came in for a head coaching interview. Yeah. He was serious about being a head coach.
I don't think he'll take it.
So he may, right? Because listen, you got to step back into a head coach. Is he going to get a head coaching job in the NFL again? I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
The Washington situation ended very poorly. He was a part of an organization that was run terribly, and that left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths around the NFL. But I do believe Chico can coach. I believe he can be a head coach. I think when you gave him a great quarterback, why I wouldn't have minded him here was you gave him a great quarterback, you went to the Super Bowl with him.
Yep.
Cam Newton just was never really nowhere near as healthy as he was his MVP season after that, and it made the biggest difference because Chico ran him into the ground. Yeah. So those are those are the parts that are tough there. But like, I think there's a ton of great candidates for defensive coordinator out there. But it's all about the relationship that you have and the relationship that you have with your players and having championship relationships in the building. Dennis Allen is a Super Bowl champion.
Yes, he is.
And I was going to add to that, like the whole point, even back on the recruits, it's like a lot of these guys is about who they know, what's the network, you know. So like I think Ben Johnson said prior years, he didn't know enough people to have the right contacts to get people to build a staff if he wanted to leave. So now he's more comfortable, a little more empowered. So that's a big get Dennis Allen. You're talking about a recent Super Bowl winning championship, DC. It reminds me of like Andy Reid with
Recent?
No. Well, like about 6, 7 years.
14 years ago.
Well, 14 years ago. But he's been a top.
Right, it's with the Saints, right? It was with the Saints.
Yes.
No, he's on the Saints. No, he's on the Saints now.
No, he was on the Saints. He was the DC for Chico, for Sean Payton.
All right,
but that's like 2008. I ain't gonna lie to you. What year was that? What year did they win the Super Bowl?
17 years ago.
But he's been in the top 10 in terms of defense the last few years.
Yes,
That's my point. It made me forget how I was going. But either way, I forgot how I was going.
Well, here's my point, because I wanted to elaborate on why I wanted to go a little bit of a different route. My runner-up, if we were not to get an OC, because we're hearing that maybe there might be a little pushback in Hank Fraley, is the other guy, the passing game coordinator, Frank Engstrand from the Lions. I mean, you want to keep pulling from them. I'm fine with that, because you're pulling from a really good organization that's been good for the last couple of years, and he's a guy that also would bring some really good experience and kind of that connection to being and continuing to evaluate, or rather develop Caleb Williams. And so I wouldn't mind him as a runner-up for that OC position.
Ooh, Drew, you want to say something?
Yeah, I would like to say something there.
Well,
Thank
You
you.
know, Joel can't control himself.
I like
Right,
Crimson's
exactly.
comment though, because
Exactly.
shout out to Crimson.
No, what I would say is that I'm okay with really I don't have a really preference, honestly. I don't. Other than I would like Dennis Allen as the DC, but I also like Robert Saleh, like you mentioned. I think that those two individuals have had solid defenses over a number of years.
Yeah.
And they are they didn't do too well in head coaching spots, so they're able to stay for a little while longer and get a more profound grasp on being a head coach. So that means to me, we got at least 3 years before they're ready to leave with either one of those two.
Well, the thing
I'm
with
fine
Dennis
that.
is Dennis Allen leaving again. I mean, this is his second head coaching job. People don't even remember his first.
It's the reverse
It's the reverse McDaniels.
of McDaniels. Don't go nowhere.
This is his second head coaching job, and he's been horrible at both of them. So I don't know if he's getting another shot at it.
Yeah, he could be the next.
Which is great. He could be Vic Fangio, which is great.
I'm
Yes,
fine
I'm
with
saying
that.
he'll be around for a while.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? Now think about like how them hiring Eberflus, it was like, okay, cover 2, and it's felt like that type of team. This might be a much better upgrade version of the Nagy Fangio squad. If they go 3-4, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with getting some big jumbos.
Yeah, but you're getting rid of a lot of people on that defense that you drafted. Kyler Gordon now has no position on this team. Tyreek probably sticks around. Jalen is there because Jalen came in 3-4.
Man, move him to safety. We'll be all right.
Just
Guys, move
Even
on.
at 3-4 though, you
keep it
still
that simple.
when they go dime package, you still need a
the problem is Javon Dexter was terrible as a 2-gap.
Maybe make him a defensive. He's still a big defensive end in a 3-4. They need 3 big
He's
guys.
not a defensive end. He don't have swim moves. He doesn't have outside he's not a defensive end kind of player. He would have to cut weight to be a defensive end.
The big 3 clog. They go up against and take up double teams. They allow the linebackers. That's where the 4 linebackers come in. Those are the defensive end guys. The linebackers themselves so the 2 middle linebackers.
Right.
So the idea is that Dexter they might need a new big nose tackle.
What you'd say is Dexter is becoming a linebacker.
No, Dexter's becoming a big defensive end as he goes up and takes double teams on the offensive line. The 3 big boys, they basically create the double team. The 4 linebackers, the 2 outside linebackers, those are the ones that are actually your defensive ends in a 3-4.
Yeah.
So how many are on the line? 3, right?
3 on the main line, and you got your linebackers.
Yeah, you got
so
3
2 middle
right,
linebackers.
okay.
3, 4.
So you might have like Sanborn.
They're not different, is it? 4, 3.
The issue is the
3,
issue is
4.
does
there you go.
who's the linebacker that we have?
Jack
Tremaine?
Sanborn,
Does
Tremaine
Tremaine is he able to be more?
Tremaine Edmonds might not be
because
here
he's
anyway.
more of a. They had him here as more of a coverage guy versus was he be a guy that's attacking? But I mean, it's kind of like the Urlacher situation. Urlacher, when he came here, he was more of a blitzing linebacker. They had the big jumbos with Keith Traylor and Ted Washington. Then when Lovey comes,
Urlacher wasn't a linebacker.
yes, he was. He came in as a
safety.
They drafted him as safety,
And they made him a linebacker.
they made him a linebacker, and then Mentor, I guess, went down, and he ends up taking over, and then he became the middle linebacker in general.
Right.
But the point is that he started off in the 4-3, but then his speed allowed him to be a coverage guy.
Yeah.
Does that mean Tremaine Edmonds can flip that?
Tremaine Edmonds may not be here. Tremaine Edmonds has really underplayed. I would be surprised. Maybe Dennis Allen can unlock him, but I would be surprised. Tremaine Edmonds has not played anywhere near up to the contract.
I'm fine with him being off the books.
He hasn't. You're right. But could that have been because of the style that Eberflus had?
No.
Because he was great in Buffalo.
No, he wasn't.
He was great.
He was a Pro Bowler.
He was great in Buffalo.
His
So
second
you can't go from great to that
second
dog
and third
water.
season. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler.
Right. You can't go from great to that dog water without it being a systematic issue, in my opinion. So get a new guy in there.
They ran a 4-3 though. He came from the same style of defense,
but scheme is different. And what his
how it's called is different, but his role changed. He went from being not the main guy to having to be the number one guy over there. But Tremaine was a dog in Buffalo. Like
that's what I'm saying. You just don't lose skill like that. You lose it over age, not from like 1 year to the next.
I think the thing with Tremaine, and it could be a Flus thing. It could have been right. The end of the last year, you saw him playing better,
but you didn't have the pressure.
That's what it comes down to.
You didn't have the
and Yurko said this early on
last year though.
Yeah, but you got pressure last year. Like in the second half of the season, you were getting to the quarterback way more than you were in the first half of the season. This season, you didn't get to the quarterback at all. So listen, Yurko said this when we started this. He said you built this team backwards. If you have linebackers out there, they're going to be fighting for their lives if you don't have your front four. Now, TJ Edwards is a great off-ball tackle linebacker. He covers well. He gets downhill quickly. He makes his decision quickly. I love that. But the big thing is Tremaine Edmonds can be that guy if you have a great front four. The goal is if you're going out to get Dennis Allen, find a great front four. Find those guys that are going to make an impact and have him have a system that can always get guys home, which is something that we have seen. His defenses have been really good at getting pressure to the quarterback. His defensive have been really good at getting to the quarterback. They haven't been great at not putting up points, but maybe that's where the talent gap is. They weren't able to acquire a ton of talent out there in New Orleans because of the cap.
Pat, speaking of talent, we got over 300 in the chat.
Over 300 in the chat. 300.
Well, we didn't do 100. We didn't do 200.
Yeah, we got the 300.
He was a Bird Bowler in 2020 and 2021. That's where I'm missing it. But I could have sworn before the Bears got him, that's where I think he had an off season.
Well, then this kind of translates into the topic too. Like if you don't, Johnson said that he likes our talent.
Yeah.
So he doesn't. So
he's not going to not say that. He's not going to come in and be like,
we got a lot of work to do.
No, he's going to bring in and say,
I do believe him because, yes, we do have talent all over the place.
Yes. No, listen, there's a ton of talent on this team. I think you go from this to your dream free agency position, though, because he talked about it on Carmen and Yurko yesterday. The part where you felt you could attack this Bears team was the trenches. You knew they weren't going to get home to Jared Goff. You knew that you were going to be able to get home to Caleb Williams. And so I think this offseason is all about getting the trenches right. For me, my dream free agent scenario is moving on to the next time.